I signed your video off instead of mine.
One of those days.
Oh, so hey, Pete. My name is Brendan. I am the creator of MELVOR IDLE from the very, very lovely Perth, Western Australia. 26 years of age. And yeah, it's great for you to join us today. Really appreciate it.
Oh, the pleasure's mine. And Chris, tell us a bit about yourself as well, please, mate.
Yep. So my name is Chris Pfeiffer. I'm Director of Product Management in Jagex Partners and business owner of MELVOR IDLE from Jagex's side.
So MELVOR IDLE. I went through your... Now, I'm having a look at a Reddit post at the moment, and it's signed off with Malcs, M-A-L-C-S. Is that you, Brendan?
That is me, yes.
Right. Yep. It's quite an impassioned post. And there's a lot for me to pick out of it. But obviously, you know, the most exciting thing is you're essentially living the dream, I guess, where a cheeky little hobby has turned into quite a remarkable reality. Do you want to take us sort of back to the beginning for anybody who hasn't come across this before and come across you guys before? A lot of our readers in our audience would be familiar with Jagex, but of course, yeah, MELVOR IDLE. Let's get stuck in, mate. This is an amazing story.
Yeah, so it all started, I'd say, just over 2 years ago. I was just a very avid fan of idle games and RuneScape in general. And as I was playing a lot of idle games, being in a full-time job and not necessarily having enough time to play a game that requires active attention for a few hours, I set out on my own path to see if I could create my own, at the time, little game to see if people would actually enjoy it as well. And I took the inspiration from RuneScape back then because I've always found RuneScape to be a very interesting concept and a very interesting game. My first experience with RuneScape was all the way back in 2006 in primary school, where all of my friends were playing it at the time. And they said, hey, Brendan, you know, you should hop into this game and come play with us. And as soon as I hopped into the world of RuneScape, I instantly fell in love. And it's just been a game that has sat with me since then. And I thought, this would be amazing if I could turn this into a game that I could play with a full-time job, or just like idly play it in the background and not necessarily pay attention to it. And that's how the idea of MELVOR IDLE came about. And when I first released the first playable demo back in September 2019, it got a pretty good response. There wasn't much in the game at all. It was very basic, very simple. It was like a very, very prototype like game. And I just kept working on it since then, really interacting with everyone, loving everything I was doing. And as the months went on, the player base and the community just kept growing and growing and growing, and it just didn't look like it was stopping. And then back in the middle of last year, it was, I was looking at, the road ahead and thinking, I'm in a full-time job now. I have MELVOR IDLE that's taking up a lot of my time outside my job. I have a personal life to look after and all that kind of thing. So I kind of made the decision to take on MELVOR IDLE full time. And that's how I've ended up here now. And I think it's been one of the best decisions I've made.
Is this going to be another one of those Daily Mail or news.com.au headlines where we see man quits six-figure salary, now making whatever, best day of my life sort of thing?
I don't necessarily think so.
No.
But hopefully more along the lines of gamer quits job to make games.
Right. So what were you doing before this took off to the degree where you're like, I'm quitting that, I'm going to dive in and do this?
Yeah, I was working at a plumbing company in the office. I was managing a small team of about 7 people, and was also looking after all their finances and working close with the director there over there. So I was working there for about 5 years before I made the decision to leave.
Right. So there's the headline. Plumber quits job to make games. Gotcha. Right. That's
well, not necessarily a plumber. I was just in the office there, so I don't actually. I'm not qualified in plumbing, but I know a bit here and there.
That's extraordinary, mate. And we'll get deeper into that because there's other things that I want to talk about, and in particular, that there's another series that that I host via Game on Australia, and it's called Indie or Die. And it's a series that dives into, you know, with various developers from independent developer studios and various positions that they hold. And the whole point is what it's like to take that leap of faith. So I'm excited to hear more of your story and all of the drama and such that comes with, you know, taking that leap of faith and going, I'm actually going to throw myself headfirst into this. But Chris, where does Jagex fit into all of this?
Well, you know, Brendan mentioned he released the game early and he started to build a community, right? And of course, you know, we have a group of around 500 people who are interested in RuneScape and things that are inspired by RuneScape. So some of our own staff started playing MELVOR IDLE. Like, we actually found out about it the way you'd want to find out about a game. And then, like, it did exactly what, like, it's from the very, like, onset, we knew there was something special because basically the game spread around the office. So without any prompting, without us even knowing we were going to work with Brendan, we didn't even know Brendan. The game spread and was spreading among our employees, right? So, like, and people were playing it every day. And, like, we started talking about things like, if RuneScape's the, like, MMO you can play while watching TV, this is the game you can play while playing RuneScape. So we're like, wow. So it was like, well, and you know, and Brendan was pretty upfront about being inspired by RuneScape and his posts and talking about it. So we were like, we should contact this person and find out what's going on and see if there's a chance we could work together. And so we reached out to Brendan, found out he was smart. He had a good plan. His goals and ambitions for the game were actually really aligned with us. And there were areas that we could legitimately help that he could use. I mean, at that time, Brendan, I think you had you and one other person helping you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with like a 2-person studio, and you know, we can do a lot. Like, we can help with localization, we can help with analytics, we can help with monetization strategy. There's like a lot of different areas where Brendan, as a 2-person studio, just can't support these different functions full time because there's only 2 people and there's more functions than people. Even things like localization, we're working with Brendan on taking the game to 11 additional languages. And Brendan, this is your first time going through that. And, like, you know, our Loc team has been, you know, working with RuneScape for many years, over 20 years. And, like, they've sat down and they're working with you very tactically through individual issues and how to deal with things. And this is an area where it's really nice because it's a very symbiotic relationship. Like, we get to help Brendan scale up. He's getting that. And, you know, we get to be part of a game that we absolutely love. So it's pretty great.
Brendan, you know, Chris just mentioned the languages, and, you know, that's a first for you. I would imagine a lot of what you're experiencing is a first for you. Is the best way to describe your feelings around all of this? Is it excitement? Is it a bit of scared thrown in? Is it a bit of trepidation? Is it days and nights of crunch? Like, what does it all look for you now?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's definitely exciting. Everything so far in this experience has been a learning experience for me. As I saw the growth of MELVOR coming about, I've always taken the role as a game developer to always build on myself and build on my own personal skills. And being able to work alongside Jagex and everything they're providing me and all the different teams and all the different people I've met so far is just really amazing for the knowledge and the experience and everything they can provide in that aspect. And yeah, just taking everything on board. And like you said, the localization was just something that I never thought about when I first started it. And now I'm also feeling the effects of not thinking about it back then, because it's really fun to change the entire game to get all the languages in. But it's really good because it's this kind of knowledge that will take me further. And when I do implement more stuff into this game, or, you know, do other things, I have that knowledge already to work more efficiently in the future. And I think it's something I really, really cherish.
Chris, I would imagine that, you know, like Jagex, this wouldn't be the first sort of idle game that you guys would have come across in terms of, you know, like something that's popular because RuneScape made these types of games popular, right? But obviously there's something that's really stood out about this, about Melvor Idle in particular, that has drawn you guys to this game. Would you be able to sort of lift the lid on exactly what that is? There's got to be a few things in particular that set this apart from other ones that have tried to copy the genre.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, and being very straightforward about this, like, we had an idle game we worked on, RuneScape Idle Adventures, years back, and it was something that we had a feeling that RuneScape could be the basis for like a great idle game. And while we were working on it, we got to alpha, and we ended up in a situation where we needed to pull our resources and focus in on like the core franchises, right? RuneScape and Old School. So we were right there with one, but you know, RuneScape and Old School are very important to the company. So we had this like feeling that it should exist. There should be one. And then again, like we came across Brendan's game, and it started spreading them in the office. So it was one of those things where we knew this could be done. We hadn't seen it implemented the way we wanted. And then there it was. I mean, sort of like serendipitously, right? Like, it's very fortunate. And then, you know, we reached out to Brendan and wanted to find out if there was actually like a culture fit and personality fit. And that's also like good too, because you don't know who you're going to end up with on the phone call. Right. And we just started talking and kind of hit it off, and then, you know, decided to work together.
Brendan, I love the fact that we've got this little Perth connection. It is so cool to know that here I am sitting in my office in Southern River, and you look like you're in the city somewhere, or maybe Osborne Park, or
yeah, I'm in the city, yeah,
right, in the city somewhere, and it's going to be great to be able to catch up for a beer or something.
Yeah,
but what really speaks to me about this is that here in Perth in particular, because we're so tucked away from the rest of the world and generally where everything happens when it comes to games, esports, pop culture, and I'm talking about the eastern states, we have a really rich, fertile ground of independent developers here in WA and Perth in particular, but you don't really get to hear much about them, and they don't get a lot of support by virtue of this little island that we live on here in Western Australia. So was it a real shock to you that these guys found you, and now here you are doing what it is that you're doing, able to have this opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a massive surprise when when they first made contact with me. I personally never thought it would actually ever happen. I thought I was just going out there creating a game that I personally would enjoy it and hoped that others would as well. And to get to a point where the company that originally inspired me to create the game, and a company that I personally have looked up to since when I first started playing RuneScape, for them to come and say that they want to work together and help grow Melvor was a massive shock, but a really, really good shock. And it's been something that still is hard to sink in, but I think it's really amazing. And
has it spread to other indie developers here in Perth? Perth's a small place. Everybody knows each other.
No, I don't really know any other developers in Perth, unfortunately.
Right. Okay. So just on that point,
yeah.
And this is in your first paragraph of that Reddit post, and it says, I knew I didn't have any experience in creating a video game, but I decided to give it a go anyway. So, like, it actually doesn't surprise me to hear you go, I don't really know any other indie developers in Perth. I mean, this is something that you've... I mean, how can I explain that? Here it is. Like, you know, yeah. What prompts you to go, I'm just going to give it a bash?
I don't know. I'm a risk taker in general. Like, if I have an idea about something, or I want to do something, I'll be like, look, I'll give it a go. Because, you know, the worst that's going to happen is it just won't work out. I'll learn from it and move on. And I think Melvor Idle kind of fills a hole that I personally felt was missing in idle games, like a RuneScape style idle game where you can kind of dive into it and do whatever you want. And knowing that I had no qualifications or experience in game development itself, I don't even have any university degrees or anything, or any previous career aspects in development itself. I thought, look, I'll give it a go, see how it goes, see if people actually do enjoy it. And the way I went about it was, I'll just create a game that I will personally enjoy, in hopes that others will enjoy it. And I think it's that kind of thinking that got me to where I am today, where being able to focus on what I enjoy in video games in general and trying to get that on paper and get that into the game really helped.
And it must be... Sorry, Chris, you go.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, I think Brendan cuts himself a little short on this too, because we interviewed him when we first started talking to him. Like, we brought out our like tech big guns, and they asked him about technical challenges and how he set up his infrastructure, and he made a lot of really smart decisions. So somebody without experience still made good calls. On top of that, like, if you look at the way he's running his community in terms of like Discord and Reddit, it's very professionally run. So like, for someone who didn't have a lot of experience, he also onboarded incredibly quickly in a lot of different areas.
Can you give me an example of what, and you don't have to because it might be something we're not allowed to see, but can you give me an example of what a question your tech department might have thrown at him in terms of a big gun question that he answered well?
Yeah. I mean, we asked about his entire tech stack, like how does he do updates? How does he do builds? What level of automation does he have? We wanted to know, would passwords be secure? We asked him if he faced scaling problems, and then how did he address them? And with like everything we asked him, he had good answers. And again, like, you know, he didn't start with a formal programming background, but I think you had done some self-study in that area, right, Brendan?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, definitely looked into it. And it being like kind of like dipping into coding and self-taught is something I've enjoyed for the last 10 or so years. But Melvor was like my first actual public project that I put out there.
I love that question. Would passwords be secure? Because in my limited knowledge, I'd be like, yes, and then you'd be how, and I'd be like, I don't know, 2FA? I don't know. Hey, the Steam, this game hitting Steam. As far as hallmark moments, because any gamer worth their salt playing on a PC has a Steam account,
Yep.
that'd be a hell of a moment for you, right? And that appears to be when it's really taken off.
Steam was the turning point of Melvor. I think. I mean, when it hit the iOS App Store, I think I clocked up like 100,000 downloads within a month on iPhone. But it wasn't until I actually released it on Steam where I really saw that people really, really liked my game. All the overwhelmingly positive reviews that came through, and it stayed up in that top 95% for months and months and months, all the way up until June last year. That was really something that helped me understand that, hey, maybe I do have something good here and I really should devote all my time to it.
Where do we go from here? So how does this grow? Where does this go from here?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff I want to do with Melvor. Something I am trying to do is create its own universe and its own world. Kind of like you see in like the Elder Scrolls series, or even RuneScape has its own world building and stuff. I really want to take Melvor to a stage where people know what Melvor is, they understand what's happening inside the world, and they can somewhat relate to that as well. And I just want to continue to give people a product that they can enjoy for months and years on end. I don't want to slow down. I don't want to stop. It's really amazing to be in the position I am in today. And I just want to take that and, yeah, just keep going with it.
One of the coolest things that happens when a community gets around you is they start creating community fan things. So like whether it be fan art or, you know, so on and so forth. Have you seen anything floating around that's caught your eye?
We actually ran our own fan art contest last year in September. We gave away like a prize where they could get a pet inside the game named after him, and we saw some amazing fan art come through from that. So many different styles, so many different illustrations of how people can turn Melvor into, and how they see it, and their interpretation of Melvor itself. And that was really cool to see. It was just, you know, I've always seen fan art in other games and thought, wow, that'd be so cool to have some fan art for Melvor, and to actually see fan art come through and the amount of fan art that did come through, it was really awesome.
Chris, given Jagex and how storied. Please excuse my daughter screaming in the background. Good old 2021 work from home. Given how storied, a platform Jagex and a company Jagex is, you guys would be looking at this through your own lens in terms of how it accelerates and grows. Where do you guys see this game going?
Well, Brendan's already began to foster a strong community, and we're all about community-centric multiplayer games, which have a long-term relationship with players. And we talked to Brendan about this, and he has ideas for expansion packs. He knows where he wants Melvor to go, and we want to support him, and we want to amplify his voice. We want to bring his game to current and lapsed RuneScape players, hundreds of millions of players, as well as, the greater gaming population around the world.
Hey, Brendan, if I could be so bold, if you need to catch up, talk about character ideas, just throwing it out there, Yeah, I can stand it. We're in the same place. If you need someone to stand in a studio, or just you take a few photos or something like that, and if you can get the Mix logo in there as well, I'm sure you're an avid listener of the Breakfast Show. That'd be great. Well, this is exciting. I think for me, for a number of reasons, but in particular to know that this is happening right here in our cheeky little town of Perth. Is certainly setting me on fire when it comes to this. So I can't wait to see where this continues to grow and it continues to go. And with that, thank you both so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Brendan, I'm looking forward to catching up very soon with you over a beer to talk more. And if there's anything else you guys want to say before I let you go, please, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thanks so much for that, Paige. Really good to speak to someone very local. It's really good to know that you have that interest in Melvor, and it's being in the little town, secluded town. We'll call it secluded, but it pretty much is the most isolated city in the world. And knowing that there are people out there that enjoy Melvor, it's really great. So thanks so much for the chat. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and from the Jagex side, we want to work with the best developers in the world, and with Brendan, we found one of them, and we're really happy to be working with him on Melvor.
Unreal, guys. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks so much, Pete.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. Thanks for all of your support. You can do a little bit more though.
You can.
Hit us up on our YouTube. Drop us a subscribe. Is that how the cool kids say it?
Exactly right, mate.
Smash that subs button.
Smash that subs button!
And, you get to enjoy more Goa content.
Do it.